Supply and demand explained. You don't need an economics degree to predict prices. You need two curves, a few levers, and a habit of asking, what changed? Today, supply and demand, clean, visual, and battle-tested with real-life examples. Stay to the end for a 10-minute drill you can run on any market, coffee, rent, or Taylor Swift tickets. The one-screen picture, 2 lines, 1 market. Demand slopes down, lower price, people want more, fewer dollars per slice. You buy extra pizza. Supply slopes up, higher price, sellers bring more dollars per slice, more ovens turn on. Where they cross is the equilibrium, price where plans match and quantity where trades actually happen. If price sits above equilibrium, surplus, stuff left on shelves, sellers cut prices. If price sits below equilibrium, shortage, lines, and sold out. Prices rise. Markets move like a thermostat. Miss the set point, forces push back. Slides versus shifts. People mix these up. A slide is moving along a curve when price changes. A shift is moving the whole curve because something besides price changed. Think of curves as rules of behavior. Slides obey the same rule at a new price. Shifts rewrite the rule. What shifts demand? Use PYNTE. Say PYNTE. 1. Prices of related goods. Substitutes. Pepsi versus Coke. If Pepsi price rises, Coke demand shifts right. Complements, coffee plus creamer. If coffee price rises, creamer demand shifts left. 2Y income. Normal goods, more income, demand right. Restaurant meals. Inferior goods, more income, demand left. Instant noodles. 3. Number of buyers, more entrants, demand right. 4. Tastes, trends, health scares, viral TikToks, demand right or left. 5. Expectations. If people expect prices to jump next week, today's demand right. What shifts supply? Use TINTES. 1. Technology. Better process. Supply right. Cheaper to produce. 2. Inputs. Higher wage/energy/raw material costs. Arrow supply left. 3. Number of sellers. More firms. Supply right. 4. Taxes and subsidies. Taxes push left. Subsidies push right. 5. Expectations. If sellers expect higher prices later, they may hold inventory now. Current supply left. 6. Shocks. Weather, strikes, wars. Typically left. Rule of thumb. If the change makes it easier/cheaper to produce, supply shifts right. If it makes buyers want it more at every price, demand shifts right. Predicting the direction. No algebra needed. Identify the market. Be specific. Used cars in Dallas, not cars. Decide which curve shifts, demand, supply, or both. Why? Shift the curve on your mental graph. Read off what happens to price and quantity. Example 1. Avocados. News, drought harms harvest. Shift, supply left. Prediction, higher price, lower quantity. Example 2. Streaming service. News, mega hit show drops. Social buzz explodes. Shift, demand right. Prediction, higher price, if they can raise, higher quantity, subscriptions. Example 3. Laptops. News, a breakthrough, halves battery costs. Shift, supply right. Prediction, lower price, higher quantity. Example 4. Restaurants in a recession. News, incomes fall. Shift, for sit-down restaurants, normal goods, demand left. For fast food, inferior-ish, demand right or less left. Elasticity, how stretchy are buyers and sellers? Elasticity measures how much quantity reacts when price changes. Elastic demand, we eat or greater than 1. People switch easily. Small price hike, big drop in quantity. Airline tickets, months out. Inelastic demand, teens less than 1. People can't switch. Price hike, small drop in quantity. Insulin, short-run gasoline. Elastic supply, firms scale output easily. Software downloads, inelastic supply. Output is capped short-run. Concert seats tonight. Total revenue test, for demand. Price up, revenue up. Demand was inelastic. Price up, revenue down. Demand was elastic. Time matters. Demand and supply tend to be more elastic in the long run. People find alternatives. Firms retool. Taxes. Who really pays? Incidence 101. Governments can tax buyers or sellers. The legal side doesn't decide who bears the burden. Elasticities do. If demand is inelastic and supply elastic, buyers eat most of the tax. Cigarettes. If demand is elastic and supply inelastic, sellers eat most, short-run apartment owners. Visualize a wedge between the price buyers pay and the price sellers keep. Quantity falls, some trades vanish. That lost win-win is the deadweight loss, DWL. Mini number, $1 per unit tax. Elasticities lead to a new quantity 10% lower. Roughly, the side that's steeper bears more of the $1. DWL grows faster than the tax. Double the tax, more than double. DWL. Triangles scale with the square of size. Subsidies are the mirror, reverse wedge, quantity rises. Government pays, DWL still exists. We fund some low-value trades. Price controls, when we ban the thermostat. Price ceiling, a legal maximum price, e.g. rent control. If binding, below equilibrium. Shortages, waiting lists, key money, quality declines, less new building. If non-binding, nothing changes. Price floor, a legal minimum price, e.g. minimum wage, certain farm supports. If binding, above equilibrium, potential surplus of labor, unemployment risk, firms substitute capital for labor, hours may fall. Context matters. If demand for labor is very inelastic short run, employment effects can be small while wages rise. Elasticities and enforcement decide magnitudes. Surge pricing, the opposite of ceilings, raises prices during peak demand. Upside, more drivers online, shorter waits. Downside, angry tweets. Economics predicts shorter lines, higher prices, and more supply and spikes. Common pitfalls and edge cases. Demand increased does not equal quantity demanded increased. The first is a shift. The second is a slide. Giffen goods, very rare. Price rises. Poor consumers buy more because the income effect dominates substitution. Classic rice example under extreme poverty. Veblen goods. Higher price itself signals status, raising demand. Luxury handbags. That's a taste shift, not a law reversal. Externalities, private supply/demand miss spillovers, pollution, herd immunity, fix with taxes, caps, or subsidies. Network effects, the good gets better as more use it. Social media, demand can bend weirdly because value depends on others. Capacity constraints, supply is flat, then suddenly vertical. Airplane seats, small demand bumps suddenly spike prices. Microlab, run your own market in 5 minutes. Concept, city coffee shops after a storm knocks out home power. 1. Identify market. Drip coffee in Midtown this Tuesday. 2. Curves. Homebrewers offline. Demand right. Supply? Some shops lack staff/power. Supply left. Third overlay. Both shift. Price effect? Up for sure. Quantity? Ambiguous until you judge which shift is bigger. 4. Elasticities. Short run, supply is tight, inelastic. Demand is semi-inelastic. Caffeine. Expect big price jump. Cues, maybe temporary rationing. 5. Policy test. If city bans price hikes, ceiling. Predict longer lines and stockouts. If it allows surge pricing, predict more pop-up suppliers, food trucks, generators, and shorter lines at a cost. Do this 5-step overlay for any headline. You'll be early to the price move. A real number anchors memory. Elasticity. Back of envelope. If gasoline demand short-run elasticity is around -0.2, a 10% price rise cuts quantity by 2%. If supply short-run elasticity is 0.1, a $0.50 tax will mostly show up in pump prices paid by buyers. Long run, both elasticities rise. Quantity falls more. Incidence shifts somewhat toward sellers. Supply and demand. With words. First, math second. Words. People want less of expensive things, more of cheap things. Producers make more when it pays, less when it doesn't. Where wants meat capacity, a price settles the argument. Math, after you own the story. Linear demand. Solve quantity follows. Parameters are just slopes and intercepts you can tie back to tastes, technology, and population. The 60-second street test. Next time you see a line that disappears the moment the price rises. Shelves full of something no one buys until there's a discount. A viral item that doubles in price overnight. Ask, was it a slide or a shift? Which curve moved? How elastic was it? Your brain starts drawing graphs automatically. That's the habit you want. FAQ Lite, because you'll hear these in arguments. Greed caused high prices. Greed is usually constant. What changed is demand, supply, or constraints. Graph it. You'll find the culprit. But stores raised prices because they could. That's another way to say demand got stronger or supply got tighter. The graph still explains the timing and size. Price controls are compassionate. They feel good, but create shortages unless paired with rationing or injections of supply. Sometimes governments do both. Then the trade-off is on budget lines, not store lines. Minimum wage always kills jobs. It can reduce jobs if demand for low-skill labor is elastic and the floor is high and binding. With inelastic demand, modest floors can raise earnings with small employment changes. Context plus elasticities decide. Tiny case studies, 30 seconds each. Concert tickets, fixed seats equals inelastic short-run supply, demand spike, massive price surge, or scalper lines. Dynamic pricing pushes more revenue to artists, fewer empty seats. Eggs, bird flu wipes flocks, supply left. Expect higher prices, lower quantity, and a cottage industry of egg hacks. As flocks rebuild, supply right, prices fall. Used cars, 2021 to 2023. Chip shortage squeezed new car supply. Spillover demand right for used. Prices rocketed. As chips returned, supply recovered. Prices cooled. The 5-minute drill. Practice now. Timer, 5 o'clock. Market, short-term rentals on a holiday weekend. 1. Set the scene, 30 seconds. More tourists. New regulation. Weather. 2. Pick the curve, 60 seconds. Demand right. Supply left. Hosts exit. Both. 3. Predict, 60 seconds. Price up or down. Quantity up or down. Why? 4. Elasticities, 60 seconds. Can hosts add listings quickly? Can tourists substitute hotels, dates, cities? 5. Edge and policy, 90 seconds. Price caps, occupancy limits, expect shortages, black markets, or spillover to nearby towns. Write your conclusion in 2 sentences. Check it after the weekend. Adjust your mental model. Supply and demand isn't a classroom graph. It's a pocket calculator for reality. When you can sketch the curves with words, you can forecast lines, prices, and headlines, often before they happen. What market should we dissect next? Housing bids, AIGP US, or secondhand luxury? Drop it, and we'll run the overlay together.